Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second day of our seminar, Beyond Words, the Transformative Impact of Culture on Adult Education, English Education. Yesterday, we began exploring how culture is not just a backdrop, but a vital component of meaningful communication. Today, we continue delving deeper into how cultural awareness may shape or reshape our teaching practices. Before we move on, I just want to remind you of several elements to think about, to keep in mind. First of all, keep your mics off, um, and only turn them on, I guess, when you have a question or a comment to make. Participation is expected. Academic interactions help to gain new insights and shape experiences we can all benefit from. Join Google Classroom, okay, to keep up with the assignments. If you face any type of issues, please let us know so that we can assist you. And that's pretty much it in terms of the keeping up with the rules. Professor Marisol, do you have anything to announce? Any announcements?
Not now. Just follow instructions and let's pay attention and participate.
Okay, so without any further ado, we hope you enjoyed the session and take away valuable insights. So, Professor Cárdenas.
Important words. Thank you very much for your introduction. So I can't stress enough the importance of joining Google Classroom, because so over there you're gonna have the wrap up necessary for most of the information that we're sharing in these sessions. As you know, we're loaded with information. A part of a benefit that you obtain as you pay for a seminar like this is to have access to some support or some reflection material that allows you to take away some of the concepts, the ideas. We're not dealing with methodology here, but most of this information is probably unknown. Fortunately, today we're going to see some familiar topics as we get into paralinguistics and communication. Those topics or these topics, I would say, may ring a bell to some of us, to some others probably not. So it's always a good thing that we get a chance to, revisit them later during the day. It's a very beneficial thing to do, and helps you out, consolidate what we're learning, what we are talking about in these sessions. Now, I'm very happy that I have this opportunity to talk to you about these things because, look, as I was telling you before, our department needs to go a little bit more in the direction of culture. This is has been considered some area or a gray area that has remained largely unexplored. Um, Beyond Linguistics 300 in third year of the program of our BA. Beyond that, there isn't anything else that really involves general linguistics or applied linguistics. So probably in the future, we should start considering some social linguistics course in which we can bring in some cultural elements. Same as it's, I think, very possible that we should consider a course on language and culture as a way for us to do comparative analysis of behavior, cultural, ways of seeing the world more like a vision of the world. We need to see a little bit more of that in the department because we have focused so much on plain grammar, right? Or language, linguistics, general linguistics in terms of development of language skills. we need to move a little bit more in that direction too. Very good. Okay, I'm going to start sharing with you the material, and let's see how we go about this second topic. Just a second. Let me know if you can see my screen, please. I'm loading it.
We do.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
So, yes, as I was announcing, around
Sorry, Professor Rafael. Will
Mhm.
you close the window that is on your screen
All right.
so that we won't have that black line?
You have like two black
Is it
boxes. Yeah,
is-
there's one on
Okay.
top as well.
all right? Is it better?
There are two still. Okay, there's one that is right above that.
Okay. Is it gone now?
Okay, that seems better. Thank you.
All right. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's the ugly part of technology. There's certain things that always run out of control. Listen, yesterday, well, I do have to apologize because I think I had a faulty mic. For some reason, I was trying to deliver my presentation, and I think there were several situations which I think I had this cut off communication. Please let me know if you don't listen to me clearly or something. I got this other uh, headset with a mic, and I hope it will work better. Hopefully, it will. Let me know if I have any issues here. Thank you. All right, haptics. Around 10:30 or so, yesterday I was talking about haptics. Probably you've seen the word for the very first time. So, what is all this about? Okay, haptics is a subfield of linguistics. It has to do with human contact. But in concrete, because human contact takes different forms, concretely speaking, haptics is touch, human touch. Um, Ever since we're born, we need touch for cognitive and neural development. The brain of a child, of a baby, is developed through the touch that the baby gets from his or her mom. That's the first point of contact for every human being. So beyond that, we keep on developing mentally and emotionally through contact with other human beings. So human beings, we're essentially social creatures, and everything we do relies on two important components. All right. On the one side, we need a routine or the development of habits. Okay, what we do, what we habitually do, will determine uh, how we will develop. And secondly, we need a network of human contact that involves probably relatives. This creates a context for the person to grow as a human being. So it's been proven that this is what makes a person a human being, right? Because there are instances, as you have probably read, of human beings who have grown devoid of human contact. And what that causes to a human being is that we become savages. This is, I think, proven by science, or at least by empirical evidence. So, human contact is extremely important. And this is something we cannot rid ourselves of, regardless of how we feel concerning relating to other human beings and touching them or allowing them to touch us. Um, in many ways, this is what creates a sense of belonging also. Um, if Could you imagine if you had a family and you could not touch them? That situation would definitely affect our development and our vision of the world, right? Um, many people who are, you know, I would call affected mentally to some extent, or have or exhibit these strange behaviors. It's mostly related to an inability to relate to others, especially through touch. Having these limitations creates a serious problem. So this is part of our development as a human being. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about this image, and as you can see here, there are multiple interpretations to this situation. All right, so we don't know exactly what's going on, but what we do need is that there is a need for human contact. Okay, that takes different forms. Some people may feel like this is psychology, not culture. No, there are layers in culture, because culture is communication. Culture is also um, relating to others. Culture is being a part of a society, you know, claiming some ground. Territoriality, that's the term we used yesterday. And there are others that imply that this is part of the way how we relate to others. Touching, looking at people, how we move, how we express ourselves through our hands. All of this is part of it. So also, a touch relates to establishing a solidarity, okay, expressing others, our emotions or our common emotions, or finding common grounds with other people. Um, Culture cannot be effective if we don't belong, really. Alienation is not an option, okay? So that is why when people migrate to a new culture, they're generally advised to follow the ways of that culture. So do when in Rome, do as Romans do. That's what's generally advised. And I think it makes a lot of sense to behave like that, because it helps a person assimilate. Now, assimilation is important, yes, uh, but remember that whoever comes from another context or a different culture, they also have this other background. Is it bad to have a different background? Of course not. Of course not, because we human beings are diverse, and that diversity is very positive. That allows us to understand and reach out to many more people, and to not find barriers, but possibilities for points in common. As I was telling you, some cultures are much more close. You see, there's this stereotypes in which you have this Middle Eastern cultures that are very pretty close, same as in most of the um, Eastern, East Asia, and so forth. Um, People do not make much eye contact, or touching seems to be banned, or same-sex or different sex relationships seem to be controlled by society. There's these, there are these other elements that are partly religious or philosophical. It's important to open our minds to these differences, because we never know where we're going to be working, or who our students will be working with. So some of this cultural awareness is necessary for them to be able to relate to these different human groups. There is no way we could say that we will always be within the limits or boundaries of a familiar culture. There will be cases in which we're going to be running into people with different experiences and different ways of carrying themselves. And it's important also to establish the difference between being bilingual and being bicultural. Person is bilingual, as that's what we are forming, for instance, at the English department at the university, because the ultimate product is a human being, a Panamanian, who is capable of speaking with an acceptable command, both English, of course, they're L1 Spanish, but that doesn't make them bicultural. Being bicultural requires, you know, acquiring all of this other background and understanding that there are certain principles that rule human relations. So, in a way, what we're talking about here is that our students are probably lacking in this regard, and we need to help them out be more effective. For instance, yesterday I was, I'm going to make a parenthesis over here. Yesterday I was checking a report by Michael Page. So Michael Page is British recruiting company. They recruit talent, and they do it at the high end of the workforce or workforce market. They generally deal with executives who approach them for them to locate and assess their skills and offer them advice on how to land jobs in multinational companies established in Panama. We're talking here about PepsiCo and Procter and Gamble, this sort of thing, this sort of companies. Unilever, for instance, and others that you should probably know about. And this was a report based on income. The sample for this study, because it was a survey study, was executives. 62% of the executives who were surveyed worked for multinational companies in Panama. The rest, out of the 62, they were also executives working in other multinationals in the rest of Central America. Now, English-speaking individuals who are culturally savvy are within a range of a salary range, because it was essentially a survey that revealed people's salary or money, the money they made on a monthly basis. These executives are making salaries between the ranges of $20,000 and $2,000 working for these multinational companies. And they don't hire, none of these companies, any executives through Michael Page or any other of those recruiting companies, unless the person has very strong English skills. But it's not only that they speak English, they should also be culturally aware. And in general, this translates to people who have degrees or from the English-speaking world, the BANA countries that we were talking about yesterday, or people who have worked abroad and have a great deal of experience, dealing with foreign companies or companies that have presence in different countries, who are ready to attend meetings, either online or face-to-face with international personnel. So yes, this is the real value of this. And I'm going to be posting this Michael Page report. Unfortunately, I got it in Spanish because it's a local branch of Michael Page. I didn't get that in English. And I'm going to be posting that in Google Classroom just for your information, because it's important that you realize the value of being bicultural. So being bicultural means also making a lot of money. I tell my students that what we do at the English department, for example, is the most important thing they're doing. And why is this? Because English translates to money. English is money. And all of this information we're talking about grants access to another area of our job market. Job markets in Panama are limited, right? Most of the people who are bilingual will go to call centers, hotel industry, and tourism. Those are some of the most important areas in which they can probably find opportunities. But those are starting level, or the starting level at the very bottom of the job market. But the high end, or the higher end, higher salaries, that requires a different profile, and that's generally bicultural, because a person needs to be able to talk or call to the United States, or call somewhere in Europe and talk to someone over there, and or attend meetings, or travel there, send reports over there. So this is a completely different story compared to living in our context and dealing with essential linguistic oriented activities. So when culture is involved, and you have to deal with more sophisticated situations, then it's important to gain this awareness. So I'll be posting this Michael Page report in Google Classroom just for your information. You don't have anything to do with it, but it's a good thing that you know, that you see the salaries that people make by area, because they have a breakdown of the salaries that people make, executives, different the CEOs, and et cetera, et cetera. Of course, I should tell you, most of these people are foreigners. They are not Panamanian. And this is a big problem, because what this reflects is that we're lacking in our educational system, that we have serious gaps that they're somehow filling elsewhere, that we need to try to help in order to adjust our curriculum to make it more competitive. So, okay. Yesterday we were also talking about symbols, right? These different kinds of symbols. We have to, regardless of the fact that we like them or not, that they may look probably as something essential or no-brainer type of communication that doesn't require much thinking on our part. The reality is that all of these are universally accepted, and chances are that wherever you go, you're going to be running into people communicating this way. And if you do not understand or you disregard these forms of communication, or you don't use them, you're going to be missing on important things. One of those, as I was telling you yesterday, is building rapport. And another thing is also disregarding humor. Humor is a very, very important, way of letting all of that steam, and I would call that mm, um, worries or stress, or tension. You need to release all of that. That's the role of humor. Humor helps people communicate better, and identify themselves as human beings. We need to pay attention to this. So many of these things are intended, I mean, these symbols that we do are intended to prevent people from touching or telling everything. Sometimes just a gesture, just a hand movement, that helps a lot. Well, for grown adults, professional adults like we are right now, probably that's not so relevant, but we have to think about our students and what we teach them. So it's always a good thing to bring up, this topics, and ask them. So how do you say this without words? How could you communicate this feeling or this emotion without saying anything? And then we'll discover, okay? As we go about this process, we'll discover that many of them are not even aware of how they can, of their possibilities for communication, unless you grew in a family with your siblings, you if you're a lone child, probably an only child, those are the ones who have the greatest problems. They are challenged really, because since they didn't grow with a family or probably an extended family. So if you did not have access to any of that, this person is challenged. Probably you haven't thought much about it. I don't know, but I'd like to ask you if you agree with me or you feel this is not true. I'd like to know, of course, we need to know that none of the things we're saying here are definite. But from what I have read so far, it's important to have an extended family and grow, in an extended family so that you learn these kinds of behavior in which there's complicity, and you have your friends, your peers. You have peers as you grow, and you understand that there are different ways for you to communicate yourself beyond words, that you can say a lot just with a look. Okay. I don't know. Is there anybody who thinks differently? Or if you have a different experience, I'd like to listen to some input from you. Please. And by the way, are you listening to me clearly today?
Yes, there are
Yes,
no issues
Professor.
right now.
Yes.
clear.
So, are you following me? Do you agree with what I just said concerning growing up with siblings and an extended family?
I guess it is important. I would kind of disagree a little bit in terms of, having being or having an only child. I guess it's up to the parents themselves to help that interaction to happen, to actually develop within the child. I mean, I know that they're the rule of thumb is they're probably going to be affected if they're not exposed to extended family, you know, but overall, I think it really depends on, the parents, and how they raise the child so that that does not become an obstacle to them.
Yes, socializing is the key. Um, if we don't have this immediate group that we could identify or relate to, it's important to be a part of a club, have neighbors, probably school friends. But this network is required for a person to be complete. Uh, this is not because I say it. This is because of what anthropologists say. So living beings, they need this interaction in order for them to become, sensitive to communication. People who disregard other forms of communication, they generally have trouble doing certain things in life later in life, because this is a very necessary step. Um, eh, some people don't think it's very relevant, but indeed it is. Indeed it is. From what I've read, also Edward Hall and his ideas on building these relationships and through in anthropology as a field, they highlight the necessary interaction among human beings. So people always communicate. People always communicate. Let me just bring up an example.
I was,
Okay.
could I could
Sure.
I make a slight intervention here? No, I'm not disregarding the importance of that interaction. I'm just saying that it is also important for people who are in that immediate environment to reinforce that, even if you have a child that is and that is being raised as an only child. That's what I mean. I'm not disregarding what you're saying.
Um, I agree with you, and I didn't want to, you know, spotlight any specific case, but what I would like to stress here is that isolation or social isolation that is more harmful than beneficial, considering for the sake of communication and the development of all of these different communication channels, because these are ways, alternate ways for communication to occur that a person may not be aware of. Why did I bring up the only child case? It is because from what I've seen, these are the younger men and women that we receive. Many of them are like in this situation, um, in the department, that they're only children, because I asked them. And well, as an only child, many of them have some issues with communication, and they voice it in class. They say, well, I didn't know this, or I wasn't aware of this, or I didn't pay enough attention to this. Another case I'd like to bring up here that supports my case, or my position. It's not a case, but it's more like a position based on my experience, is when I was working as an instructor in the United States, because as part of my responsibility over there, I was appointed as an instructor for an intensive English program over there. And many of the participants we had at the language center were Chinese. And as you know, um, back in the 90s and the 80s, probably before, or maybe probably also after that, that period of time, Chinese people had this own one child policy, which many of them, they felt, and they even communicated this, that they did not communicate very effectively with not even among Chinese people, because they felt they were limited by being the only one, the only child in their household. So I saw that recurrently, and I noticed that there could be some symptom over here concerning some communication. Remember that intergenerational, that is mom-child, father-child communication, will never be the same as having a brother, sisters, or having maybe a foster, I don't know, anybody that is pretty much of their age in the household. So they reported feeling um, that something was missing for them. So that's why I brought this example in. So yeah, you don't have to agree with me, but I'm just communicating based on what I've seen, that some people feel that if you neglect some of this nonverbal communication, this creates some limitations in later in life, or they feel some like they have to make some adjustments, about themselves, about themselves. Probably that's also cultural. Probably it is. Maybe there are other variables involved in this, but that is what I can share concerning this. So, okay. So, just I just wanted to bring an example. So, I don't know if you've noticed, but every time striker, football player, soccer player, scores a goal in a match, what happens is that this person, he starts sending communication that is nonverbal communication. That's what they do. That's the example I can bring in about the effectiveness or importance of nonverbal communication. Whenever a soccer player scores a goal, they will start signaling, maybe like lady over here with a heart, they're going to start making it a heart shape with their hands. They're going to start probably pointing upwards, like God gave them that goal, or they're going to start silencing people, like putting the index finger on their lips, like to tell them to shut up and accept the fate, because he scored a goal and they're going to be eliminated. I mean, to their rivals. That could be a message to their rivals. And other possible symbols is probably raising an arm, like showing them, I have the strength to do this, and probably you don't. There's so many things that these people do. I've even seen in NFL matches that when a football player, that's American football, scores a touchdown, they start showing signs of money, meaning like, okay, here comes my bonus because I'm fulfilling my part or doing my part of the contract. And many of them have contracts that require them to score a number of touchdowns, especially if they're running backs or any of those positions that require them to or to score points. And they do communicate many things physically or with their hands. And guess what? Do you think people understand them? What do you think? Do you think people understand? Do you think their fan base understands what they mean or not? What do you think?
I guess they do if they are
Yeah,
having the
of
good
course.
time.
Of course. And what these does is this reflects that this communication is highly effective, but it's also very contextual, because if you are not a sports fan or you're not part of that, you don't follow that sportsman, the human being, you won't understand the dramas, the contracts, the situations, their injuries, uh, the situations their family go through, the migration, the effort, all of that, because they're always struggling. These are individuals living in a very competitive world, and they want to communicate to that fan base. They do it this way, okay, non-verbally. So let's not disregard this and always bring this up. I think it's part of our mission. Okay. All right. So going back to what we were saying before, I mean yesterday, uh, beyond proxemics awareness, which is keeping a distance or respecting people's mental and physical distance, because I'd like to emphasize very much on distance not being only a physical element, but also mental. We should, allow each individual to have a space. You can see the upper picture on this slide. You see human beings keeping eye contact, smiling, paying attention. They're connected. This is part of building this communication, or opening all the communication channels. Then another important element is respect. Everyone expects to be respected or desires to be respected. So keeping appropriate human contact, as in the form of a formal handshake, that formality, that level of formality, it's important for a person who's going to become a professional. So going back to our students, a part of our reflection should be that we need to help them um, learn that they need to respect themselves, their peers, and everybody. That's part of being a professional person. Not that you have to do what other people say, no, that's not the idea. The idea is that you understand that you're entitled to your opinion, you're entitled to your way of thinking and so forth. But it's also important that you know that there are boundaries, and respect is the key element here. Solidarity, as you see on this slide, there is this a bump, fist bump. It's the ultimate expression of teamwork. Okay, why is teamwork so important? Well, it's important because at some level, this is basic survival skill. That's what it is, really. For some people, they feel that communication, it's only about being a strong individual, someone who doesn't depend on anybody. But we all need everybody. Okay, we all need everybody, and this is why teamwork is so important, and showing solidarity is also very important. I'd like to ask you, do you think we're doing enough to help our students understand that we need others in order to be complete? I'm going to repeat my question. Do you think, or do you agree, or what do you think? I'd rather ask, what do you think in terms of our mission? Are we telling our students that they need others for them to be complete? Repeat my question once more. So, as professors, as teachers or instructors, are we doing enough to help our students know that they need others for them to be complete?
Well, it really depends on how much is enough. You see, there are some groups that like to work, together and help one another, and there are some groups that I would say that are individualistic, and we have to force them to work in groups and tell them to cooperate with one another. So it really depends. Sometimes there are students that are used to socialized and that know how to communicate with others. But there are some that, especially the ones that come from the pandemic. I mean, the ones that are starting now. I mean, that came from the pandemic. That when we went into our classrooms, the ones from first and second year, they didn't like to work together because they didn't have that type of communication with others. But we have to make them work together for them to understand that they need one another and that that they live in society. And well, there are also some students that feel that they know enough and they don't need anyone else. And that's not the idea, because when they finish their studies, they will need everybody to continue. So they have to learn to live in society. Thank you.
I can add to what Professor Marisol said, is that I think it's a responsibility of us as teachers to help our students to learn how to work together. I always tell them that teamwork is not the same as individual work, and that the classroom is their field where they can practice working together. Because when they go to job, to communities and things like that, they cannot work just individually. They need the support of other people. So in order to accept the help and the support, or give your support to others that do not have the same knowledge that you have, then you need to start practicing in the classroom. And I sometimes they say, oh, but I can do it by myself. I said, it's a group work. Even if you have to work with your enemy, it's a group work. So they need to learn the process, and the practice is in the classroom.
Thank you very much for your input.
Professor,
Now,
Professor
sure.
Cárdenas.
Good morning. I would like to say something. Falquez
Sure.
is speaking.
Mhm.
Listen, I have noticed that, especially in the second semester, when we have new students coming in to take your course, in other words, that did not take part A with you, but they're going to take part B. Sometimes it's very difficult for them, or they feel like they don't feel comfortable in the group, because there are people that come in from the first semester, I'm sorry, and you tell them, okay, we're going to have a group work, and immediately they get up and everybody start moving chair to sit one beside the other. And those that are in the classroom that are coming from the first time, you see them that they will always sit in the back and look at each other what to do. So in that case, I usually tell them, listen, I call them and tell them, listen, this is the way I work. And I think you have to try to see how you get into or form part of this group. And I tell all the students, okay, listen, when you have strangers, you have to invite them and let them feel good. Yeah. So sometimes it's a little difficult, yeah, to get them to or to get them to work as in group, especially in the second semester.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your opinions and
Good
your
morning.
experiences. Sure.
Good morning, Professor Cárdenas.
Morning.
I think that we are making our job, but we need to make changes in reference to a national context of the English teaching. We need to focus on speaking, because that is and this is an international requirement, and international enterprises need that people have the enough capacities to communicate. So in order to solve the situation that the people in Panama can speak, they can express, okay? They can communicate, because I think that we are concentrating in text, in writing, but those shouldn't be our goals, okay? As an English teacher, we need to change to communication. We have to ask our students to keep practicing conversation, and this will help to get another product, okay? As a student, as an English teacher. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right, I appreciate very much your contribution. Everything you've said is so positive and valuable, because it's based on what you have lived at the department. The point I'm trying to make here with this question on either we're doing enough or not for students to feel that they need others for their own development is that we need to help create a more cooperative society, not so individualistic. individualism is good, but it has its place. The reality is that where is the University of Panama accreditation taking us? This is linked, believe it or not. Internationalization of a university requires a university to have more and more foreign students coming in. In my case, I've had Hindu students, I have some Costa Rican students that they're arriving in the English department. We haven't even started full swing internationalization development, and we already have foreign students. By foreign, I mean non-nationals, like non-Panamanian individuals of either sex in our classes. This is going to be a trend in the future, okay? And if I'm breaking the news to you, I hope it's not bad news. But it's very important that we understand that we cannot reject nationals, we can reject foreigners, we can reject non-nationals. You know, we need to keep ourselves open. And this cultural awareness that we're talking about in this seminar is not only for travelers. Very soon, as the university moves in the direction of accreditation, we will have more of these non-nationals coming in. Believe it or not, either we like it or not, this is going to happen. This is going to happen because this is necessary for the university to survive also. Okay. Just to give you a head start, I'm going to be delivering in October at the National Congress, a conference, what we call in Spanish, una ponencia, right? A conference. This conference is going to be on English being a strategy for internationalization for the University of Panama. And what I have discovered, I'll probably share some of it with you on day 5 on our last day, is that we have a situation, we have a challenge here. There is access to funds and monies from many international bodies that we may join. But the price is that we need to become culturally aware for us to receive either virtual cooperation or face-to-face. So the situation is that the university is probably not receiving any more money from the state, from the Panamanian state. So the coming president, after Mr. Flores leaves office, will have a serious challenge. He or she will have to find a way to generate funds. Where do you think these funds will come from? Internationalization. You can see at the Faculty of Humanities is a very good example of this. The faculty has so many schools and so many departments, but the core of the income that is coming into is through the language center. And what is the star product at the language center of the Faculty of Humanities? What is it?
Well, as I remember, it is we have two strong products that we open it. Spanish as a second language and English as a second language, and we're famous in that. I mean, famous around Central America.
Great. Thank you very much, Professor Suri. But which of the two do you think is the course with the highest demand? English classes. English classes. And there is a reason for that. It's a lingua franca. It's the language of internationalization. And as long as the world remains as it is, this is going to continue this way. The reason why some of these things have not come to fruition is because there's still this rejection towards everything American, really, and it's for sovereignty reasons, and it's understandable. But we need to start looking at English as more than a requirement only. It should be more of a strategy. Okay, so that's why we're talking about a culture oriented towards BANA countries, British, Australian, North America. Okay, because that's the way the world is, and not because we agree or disagree with it, things are going to be the way we want. We have to accept things as they are, and we need to live in the world we get. I don't know if you have any comments. Anybody else?
But toward the topic you are sharing with us, internationalization is definitely one of our weakest skills and our weakest situation in Universidad de Panama, because we don't have enough students from other countries that want to study in our university. So I have to tell you here in front of everybody, I have to agree that that is important to sell our product around the world and be very friendly to internationals that are in Panama. And some internationals mentioned that we reject them somehow. So it's something I really don't know how, but some of them are facing rejection. Maybe it's what you have mentioned, nonverbal communication.
Thank you very much for that input. That's really valuable. Probably this has been your best 2 cent contribution to my seminar. Thank you, Professor Suri, because this information is very revealing. You see, it's very revealing. We have some limitations concerning culture. Now, what I'm planning to propose in my conference is that bilingualism should start being enforced in some graduate programs. Okay, and this is probably the way, or this is going to be the key to unlock access to um, paying populations of non-Panamanians who could study a master's or PhD programs at our university, either online or face to face. But by having this added value of teaching these classes in English or progressing towards bilingual programs, because this is the way they've done it in other contexts in Latin America. So Brazilians and the Colombians and the Chileans, that's what they've done. I'm not so sure about the Argentinians, but I know that they have very good um, 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 projection in terms of welcoming or accessing this international pool of students. So it's something that I think the university could start considering very seriously because of accreditation requirements. So yes, so now you see that culture is not only a for travelers, for traveling students, or for faculty who plan to do some mobility. It's also for those who are in Panama who will receive this influx of foreigners or non-Panamanians who will eventually come, because they will eventually come, because the university doesn't have any other choice but to go in that direction. Okay, very good. So I'm going to go back to haptics once more. Now that I have um, emphasized this important points on internationalization and cultural awareness, establishing these links. Going back to haptics, okay, you should understand that haptics is not only an area, but it's also a technology of transmitting and understanding information through touch. Everything we do with our cell phones that we touch, all these technologies that require touching screens and surfaces, this is strongly connected to haptics, and they do have developers who are highly trained in the area or have research background in this area, which is important, of course. Why does it matter? Okay, this is the most important question. It matters because touch is one of the most fundamental yet culturally oriented variables. Okay. And it has to do with the way we human beings interact. As I was telling you before, a child needs touch in order to develop, in order to uh, acquire an identity, to feel they belong to some group. They need touch in order to feel welcome. So we need to know when to touch, when not to touch, how to touch people, and all that with ultimate purpose of trying to make them feel welcome. Okay, welcome. Okay. In communication, it matters so much because it is connected to emotions. Okay, emotions. Um, if you touch a person, you're telling them that you're supporting them somehow, or if you probably make a sign to them, you're telling them that they are accepted, that they are a part of his or her experience. We need to, be more connected to emotions, status or power dynamics. Okay. Um, Sometimes leadership. Many people say that there isn't any leadership. Well, leadership has to do with these topics. Okay. Those who are to be led need a direction, and that will come from example, and modeling behavior. Um, there is no other way people will learn what to do. So there is no way you can tell people that you have to get in touch with an international journal and send a manuscript over there if they don't do it. They have to do it for you to know that you have to do that. Same as in if you treat and you keep eye contact with a non-Panamanian and you touch them on the shoulder and you shake their hand and you ask them if they're okay or not, then those who are led will follow along. Okay, it's important to lead by example. So our authorities need to become aware also of all of this. Many of them are, otherwise they wouldn't be leading. But we need more. We need more positive examples. We need more international connection. Our government respects that. Okay, our government will respect that, and believe me, that's one of the few things they do respect. One of the reasons they don't feel we're serious professionals in some areas is because they want to say that we don't have international connections. So yes, it's important to do that. It's important to establish those points of contact and have bridges open. Also, social relationships. Formality is important. People expect to be, treated with respect, with the due respect they deserve. So we need to show that through our demeanor, our behavior, the way we talk to them. So remember that we are forming professionals, and they have to uh, get an education that they will never get at home. And where do you think they're going to get that? Most of the cases, it's going to be from the university experiences they're having, because there is no other way for many of these uh, younger fellows to have connections with anybody else who could teach them something or how to be someone out there in the market, right? Um, there is also this important element of variety. It's important to vary across cultures. We need to understand that it's not the same to treat a European and treat an American or an African, Middle Eastern person, Asian, you know, what we cannot do is just follow stereotypes and feel like, okay, I know in general what you guys are like, and I'm going to profile you accordingly. That's the thing. We have to be more oriented towards individuals and respect that they vary very much. I have a question for you. Have you, do you have any experience talking to students, foreigners, foreign students, international students at the University of Panama? Have you had the chance to teach them? And what was it like? If there is anybody who has that experience of has had that experience, either at the English department or elsewhere in the campus, if you would like to share what that was like, this is the moment, please. We'd like to benefit very much from that input that you could provide. And remember, it's not that I'm teaching you. No, we're sharing. We're having a discussion here. Okay. So we're learning, you know, mutually learning here. So what you can provide or add, that's more than welcome. We are 27 people in session, 27. And there is a great deal of experience in this session because most of you, if not all, have been professors or are already in practicing faculty members at different.
Professor, can you hear me?
Sure, loud and clear.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, regarding to your question, yes, we had a couple of years after pandemics. We had an experience to be teaching one Puerto Rican girl, two Hindus, and one girl from Costa Rica. And since they were foreigners, I think that their cultural background influenced their desire of getting the language and incorporating that desire into our Panamanian culture. Then, since they were trying to integrate themselves into our society, into our way of living, I consider that they wanted to do what they had to do in order to incorporate every single experience they were living here in Panama in their own learning of the language. Not only in terms of culture, but also in the way people behave in different offices, in the streets, wherever they were. They were trying to learn as much as possible from our culture, integrating that knowledge of English, increasing their vocabulary. And after 4 years of studying here with us, they were speaking fine. They were using normal vocabulary. I mean, when I say normal, it's the regular terminology that we use in the English department. And I consider that background, cultural background they had when they came here to Panama was crucial in their desire of getting the language. It was our experience.
So what was it like for you? Was it comfortable? Was it difficult? Did you have to make any adjustments for them?
Well,
Or did they?
yes, certainly yes, because they were having some terminology. Well, the Hindus, well, actually, the Hindus, they were trying to get Spanish. At the same time, they were trying to get English. So The translation method didn't help that much, to be honest. But we have to incorporate another technique in order to provide more feedback in terms of vocabulary. And obviously, at the beginning was somehow difficult because they were not getting the language as in the way the others were doing. So we had to search some other ways in order to help them with the vocabulary and the different structures and expressions that they had to learn in order to get the language.
Did they feel comfortable speaking in public?
Well, not at the beginning, to be honest, not at the beginning, because they were ashamed of the errors making, and then, but little by little, they were trying to gain confidence in front of their peers, in the faculty itself, in our school. But at the beginning, it was not that easy for them because they were ashamed of using that little knowledge of English. But we encourage them to improve and do things better and practice more, and they could get it. At the end, they could get it little by little.
So you see, this is a very, very big challenge for anybody because they are in an immersion situation. There is no prior training that could prepare a human being for such a transition. Just think about it. It's extremely challenging, and they go in or they dive in. It's a sink or swim situation. They could either pass or fail the class, and well, they just go ahead and take their chances, right? That's what they do. Very good. So, yeah, in this scenario, probably we have other roles that we could assume. Maybe we should start thinking seriously about having some guidelines for non-Panamanians who come in our classroom, come in our classrooms as a way to prepare them for what they're going to be facing. Because believe it or not, they are coming. They are coming, and there is no way we can delay this much longer. It's already 2025. The university needs to become accredited, and this is the one of the goals, right? One of the goals. Very good. I'd like to ask Professor Marisol Ortega if we're going to have a break at 9:30 as we requested, or is that an agreement? What do you
Well,
say?
actually, yeah, if you wanted, it could be at 9:30 or it could be at 10. It really depends on you.
Yeah, I do definitely prefer it to be at 9:30 so that we can take a brief break and prepare for a second round. So we're almost there. And if you have any announcements or I allow you to.
I was wondering, excuse me, I was
Sure.
just wondering, would it be, how long would the break be? 15 minutes? Would you be agreeable to that?
Of course,
Okay, okay,
by all
good.
means. Mhm.
Okay, all right. So I don't know if well, we'll take a break as we speak, and we'll reconvene at 9:45.
That's all right.
Okay,
That's fine
sure.
with me. Mhm.
Okay, all right.
Coordinator, about the PowerPoint for recess, could somebody play it, because I'm working with my mobile phone today and it's not, I don't know how to do that.
Mhm.
Coordinator,
All right.
Marisol?
Belsis, do you think you can share it, please? The
I sent
PowerPoint.
it to the official group for the coordination and yesterday, the last one.
Okay, let me see if I
Sorry,
can.
because I'm working with my mobile phone today. My
Okay,
excuses. Beg your
all right.
pardon.
All right, let me see.
Very good.
You may start, Professor Cardenas.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you listen to me? Yes?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clearly.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to be sharing my screen. Just a second.
In the meantime, please make sure that you look at the chat box to look for the link to for attendance purposes. Don't leave the session without signing in. Thanks.
Okay. Uh, do you see any black boxes bothering?
Yes, at the very top.
Really, but that's part of the Zoom menu. There isn't
Oh,
much
it's
I can do about it, really.
all right. Okay.
I've been trying to
Hopefully.
get rid of it, but it's fixed there.
Okay. I hopefully won't disturb the other slides.
Yeah,
We'll let
let's
you
hope
know.
not.
We'll
Sure,
let you know.
sure. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay. Well, welcome to our second part of today's session. Um, I'd like to start with this very important combination of concepts that at the same time create confusion and feel foreign or strange to some people, language and culture. Many people think of this as some kind of mystery, right? Some kind of mystery. But the reality is that they're very much linked and connected. One cannot be without the other, really. Languages, uh, communication, as we all know. But culture is what we say or what we mean or what we imply. So there is no possibility of having a language without a culture. The culture is the background necessary for communication to occur. And all of that information, all of that background is expressed through language. Okay, for many people, this is still difficult to understand. So it's very important that we, in this seminar, do our very best to clarify what they mean or how they work together or how they connect. You know, from a teacher's perspective, this is what we need to know, okay, concerning language and culture, or the combination of, between language and culture. Probably this will help us make better sense, get a better understanding of the relationship between language and culture. Language is what we do through our curriculum. As curriculum administrators, we teach the grammar, the meanings, we teach the vocabulary, we teach all those formal elements of linguistics, of a language structure, essentially. Okay, what has been formally studied through linguistics, and that's what we do with language. However, this knowledge is incomplete. Why is it incomplete? Because there is this important element called or known as discourse practices. So this is, in a sense, the how. The language is the what, the culture is the how. How, okay? How we mean, how we communicate ideas, how we express our emotions, how we explain ourselves. So this is of the utmost importance that we um, walk out of this seminar with a good understanding that one thing cannot be without the other. There is no point of teaching a language if we don't, which is the what, without also discussing the how we use language in order to have some purpose, right? Purpose is ultimately the reason why we would utter language. We communicate ourselves because we have a purpose. We have something to say. And we say it in a way that makes sense for our listener. Remember, Language and culture are not for ourselves. They're for the ones who will listen to us. They are the ones who will determine if what we mean makes sense or not. Okay. Our students need to understand this, okay? Because they think, I know English. Yes, you know English, but who determines if you know English? You, yourself? No, your listener will. He or she will decide if what you said is clear, phonetics, if it is meaningful, grammatical, if it is full of sense. That's then the culture. What is your intention? Are you being, for example, um, mm, are you clarifying a point? Are you being honest, or are you expressing maybe some element of doubt, some level of confusion? So that's the how. Okay. So this is language and culture, and I'm going to go back to it a little bit once more because it's very important that I highlight and insist very much on this. What is language and culture? It's a dyad. Okay? It's a dyad of two elements that cannot be one without the other. Okay? The language is the what, and the culture is the how. And why how? Because a context and history in general, in general terms, in broad terms, history determines the culture of a people. And language is the most human thing, because babies, as soon as they turn around 9 to 10 months old, they start communicating, they start voicing uh, emotions, feelings, but they don't have the what, but they do have the how, because they have that inside themselves. um, they will adjust, as they grow, to what other people say and how they mean things around them. And by modeling, by following examples, they will get the opportunity to be better, right? So this is pretty much the process we do. We teach language, but we need to also worry about the how we mean things through language. Okay, that's discourse practices. This term, discourse practices, um, was coined by some important linguists and anthropologists, also sociologists. One of them is named Cramst. She's an important author. She coined many of these terms. And culture, in few words, is discourse practices, how you say things. Okay, how you say things. Language is what you say, what you say. Culture is how you say things. Okay. Did you ever speak about this before, or have you ever discussed or pondered about this relationship before? Well, I certainly hope so, because our students, they, yes, go ahead.
I think we teach. Hello, Mr. Cardenas.
Sure. Hi.
Hello, Mr. Cardenas.
Hi, Falquez. How are you? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
if I'm not mistaken, I think there is a course by the name of Fundamental of the English Language. That is part of the course to teach students what's the difference between language and culture. I remember when I taught that subject, I mentioned or we analyzed those two concepts in the course.
Great. Yes. But our students, they're mostly empirical. They uh, mostly get good at communicating themselves because of examples, because of models they have around them, but not because we explicitly tell them if you want to be sad, this is the way you should use language. Or if you want to mean that you are worried or you're stressed out, this is the way you should tell this to a person, to another human being. So they go like, by trial and error, improving. But we need to help them out do that. Now, we let that work through books, right? That's what many of us do. Unfortunately, as Jimenez was saying yesterday at the introduction, I don't know if you remember what Professor Adrian Jimenez was speaking yesterday. Uh, Books are not enough because they are the product of someone else's opinion and of an editor also and a publishing house. They have a biased vision of language, and that's what they express through their books. So, for a book to be perfect, there is no perfection in books, really. What we could find is some support and assistance through which we could benefit, of course, in the process, in a pedagogical process. But a book is not a solution to teach such an immense body of knowledge. So that is why we're going to start talking in this second session about paralinguistics, the resources of communication. Okay, that is using what we have in order to mean our emotions or to mean the culture. The culture is the discourse practices. What we feel, what we think, we need to use language as a vehicle to express it for the other person to get an idea of what we are trying to communicate. So I'm going to start with intonation. Uh, I'm not so sure, but I don't think we go very far in phonetics. Probably we do look at some of this phrase level phonology on intonation, but we need to try to go beyond word level analysis of intonation. We know that we have words, that these words are made up by syllables, that we know that there's stress and unstressed ones. We also know that we have inside a syllable, we have an onset and we have different components and all that. That helps to some extent because the person is going to start feeling that in a word, there are parts that are emphasized and others that are not, and that creates this musicality to the language. But at the phrase level, that's beyond the word level, then we have some other issues that will interfere all of this. And those have to do more with content words and function words. So by content words, we mean by studying the language, because that information is very necessary for anybody to know. Of course, we cannot disregard the study of language. Some key parts of speech, such as nouns and adjectives and adverbs and verbs, those are the ones that carry meaning in in a in a in a phonological sentence. All right. I'm not talking about the written grammatical sentence. Written grammatical sentence that we study in most of our classes or that we teach are generally organized by having a subject, then a verb, then we have an object. That's the core of that content. Nevertheless, when we talk about the phonological sentence, then this is something else. This is more concerning what we need to emphasize on because it's more important for the message that I'm trying to express. So, for example, when we say he bought apples, peaches, pears, and oranges, the most important elements is the list of items that I am expressing. Why? Why so? Because I could just go about saying apples, peaches, pears, and oranges, and I don't need to say anything else in order for me to have meaning. So at the core of our analysis, it's all about meaning. Meaning is the ultimate purpose. We need to mean something concrete, and those are the parts of the sentence that are going to be emphasized. So you see the larger dots over there. So this is just one simple example, right? And look at the second one. So you see that the arrows will start pointing up, in some cases will start pointing down. They'll point up when we are in the process of communicating, or we want to keep highlighting elements in that phonological sentence. When things go down, as you see in the arrows, because you're closing your sentence and you don't want to say anything else, or you're going to be allowing space for your fellow person, the one you're talking to say something, agree or disagree, or ask more information concerning what you meant. So look at the second one. So in the first one, we say he bought apples, peaches, pears, and then it goes on, and oranges. That's the end of the message. Okay, that's the end of the message. So the message was the list, and then it ends on oranges. That's the end of the message. Now there's some variations, of course. Look at the second one. So I'll have two pencils. So what does that mean that the arrow is pointing up? Well, in a nutshell, we all know this is, I'm going to say something else. I'm not done yet. Okay, so I'm making a pause to catch some breath, and then I'm going to keep on, I'm getting some air, and I'm going to continue listening. Then a black pen, a black pen. So you see the arrow pointing up, and some ink, and some ink. Then the arrow pointing down, end of message. So we need to start talking more about um, written grammar and spoken grammar. Okay, we don't have much of this around, and we need to pay more attention to this for a simple reason. Some people want to speak as they write, and this is a big problem. Look at, for example, the third example. He went to Paris, Brussels, Amsterdam, and London. So you see, it's start going down. It's the end of the phonological sentence. So I saw Esther, Jane, Neil, and Susan. Okay. So this is pretty much the national prosody. This is what we call a prosody of a phonological sentence. Okay. I do teach oral expression, and part of the content that students feel insecure about, or that they probably ignore or tend to overlook, is the need to go up and down in terms of intonation. Okay, and intonation is linked to content words. So you have this arrows going up and down. It's like more of a peak and valley of the word level stress. Here is a little bit more emphasized, but it goes more along the lines of the meaning that you're trying to communicate. It's also important to talk to our students about the grammatical sentence and the phonological sentence. Okay, the traditional grammatical sentence is subject, verb, object. It's traditional grammar, but we should also speak here. I mean, it's part of our role to speak about the phonological sentence that's more linked to the message, in which we will provide intonation to important elements, which are content words. I'm going to repeat what they are, right? Just in case we didn't take note of this, or we didn't hit this. We have nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. Why not pronouns? Why not conjunctions? Why not prepositions? Because these are fillers generally. Okay, they're not core to what we mean. They're not the most important parts of the message we're communicating. Okay, so for some people, I've seen it, fellow colleagues, when they grab a book, grammar book, one of those ESL, EFL books, what they do is that they skip the pronunciation part of the lesson, because they feel they're going to learn that on their own. Or I don't feel this is important for me, or this is going to take a lot. But believe it or not, if we don't devote some time to this content, when students speak, they will have trouble. And this brings me back to one of our fellows participants in this seminar who was saying, like probably an hour ago, that we need to focus more on conversation, more on speaking. Of course, we need a lot more of this, but we are ignoring some of these areas because we prefer to go ahead and teach more grammar than to teach some pronunciation or some elements of phonology or phonetics for the same purpose, right? Because phonology is the rules about language production and voicing things. Phonetics is more about the description of how we produce that. And we have left most of this information at the description level. And we are not letting them know much about the rules that govern these processes. I've had some students ask me, like, Professor, I read once that English is a stress time language. What does that mean? Well, that led to a lengthy explanation that there's music behind language, and there is a good reason for that. It's all about meaning, right? If we mean something, that's what we will highlight. That's what we will emphasize. So we also have this falling intonation, and you see most of it goes to the kinds of words that contain meaning. He wants to go home. She gave him $5 for it, but it doesn't go for it. It's a pronoun there. It's as we say, pronouns are generally fillers. Filler in the sense that they refer back to some other content word. You see, they're just there for the sake of a formality of grammaticality, but not because of meaning. So since meaning governs the process, the word that should be emphasized is dollars, because that's a noun. Same as in case of home, another noun. Give her a sweater. So you see, sweater needs to be emphasized. Give him a sweater, and then the phonological sentence ends right there. Look at that, the case of a question. What do you want to do with it? So do, that's the important word over there. Even though it's not a verb, it's a verbal, right? To do, it's part of an infinitive, to do. And then as a verbal, it preserves a lot of meaning. So the meaning is not going on it, as we say, it's a pronoun. We need to tell our students about this matter. Now, I have a question for you. How often do you talk to your students about sounding right, or making their best in order to right, like, end a message and have a good intonation for them to control their intonation? Do you do that?
Yes, we have that content in phonetics and phonetics part B. We talk about super segmentals, and
right.
it's part of the program. I don't know if for sure everybody works on it, but it's an important part of the program in phonetics part B.
Very good. So you see, we do that, but at the very end of the program, that curriculum needs to be expanded somewhat, because um, students need more practice producing this. Now, many of them complain all the time about not having a lab, but what I really translate that to is that they feel they need more practice in this production um, components of suprasegmentals, or phrase level phonology. They need some more practice, opportunities to make mistakes and be corrected. And that's why they keep on thinking about labs. I need a lab. I need a lab. Now, that lab mindset is outdated already. We should all know. What we could do in order to help them, because always thinking of them, we need to offer them what apps or free resources we know that could help them probably improve in these regards, because they're really avid for some additional practice that can help them. And we need them to speak. This is so true. But this is the ground on which we're going to build a house. If we want them to speak good English, they have to grasp certain concepts about phonological concepts of phrase level or super segmental production, right? Very good. So another key area that students could very easily get better at, not that they are not, but many of them are constrained by insecurities, and you don't listen to them speaking freely, it's because they are unsure about where to produce intonation, or how to have that intonation flow. It is somewhat linked to parts of speech, and also about, it has to do with syntax, because everything is related. Meaning involves everything. So what we see here is a list of questions. What kind of questions do we have here? Any of those grammar teachers? What kinds of questions are we facing here?
Yes, no questions.
Of course, yes, no questions. We share the most basic level type. When we deal with them, it's important to let them know that they could help their listener get a better idea of what they're asking if they produce this rising intonation, right? Does he want to go home? Going up. Very important. See, and the word, this where you have the core word here is the noun. So did she give him $5 for it? So you see, rising intonation. Couldn't she have sent him? Sin, right? It's a verb, it's part of the verb phrase. So do you want to give it to him? So intonation is rising, but there is a word that has the meaning. Do you think he wants it? So what I have discovered is that many people in the department, from our student population, of course, is that they get good at this through practice, and they go, you know, they get this idea of where to place the intonation, and out of listening to others, they get the idea. You see, but very few people learn these rules explicitly to apply them. Practice, of course, it's a natural segue to the content, but we need to help them out uh, by either creating resources for them to do extra practice, or for them to correct themselves on their own. So the apps and those virtual resources or AI resources could be very useful for them to get some more of this. So, for example, I was checking that any of those AIs, such as Perplexity, or uh, even DeepSeek, or the others, you can ask the AI to generate for you all of this information. You need to create a good prompt and ask something like, okay, I need, okay, you train the AI and tell the AI, you are an English teacher in Latin America teaching intonation, phrase level intonation. I need you to create a list of 100 examples or 100 cases that have the intonated word, and for the rising and falling intonation. And then it's going to be generated, and very quickly you can have material then for them to tell you in class. I think this is a very valid way for us to earn grades, because I think they have it pretty easy in some classes, because if you're teaching some other content, probably you don't feel this is important. This is part of what they need to know. Otherwise, how can they graduate? So we need to assist them or let them know that they can obtain or create their own material through AI. Uh, I'm very worried because I've discovered also that many people are afraid of the AI among faculty in general, not only at the department but everywhere at the university. They don't feel comfortable with the AI because they think it's something illegal. It's something um, I don't know, improper to use. Hey, this is like rock and roll and reggae. This is here to stay. You know what? You need to learn how to work with it because this is the way it's going to be in the future. There is no escaping any of this. So yeah, I strongly urge you guys to benefit from this and do not to feel like you're violating any rule if you apply some AI, right? In your lesson or material development. Uh, I think many of these rules that we have they're going to have rewritten because of this, really. Okay, concerning tone of voice. Now, this is important. So we have something called social emotional learning. Okay, what do you think this is? If you look at this word, social emotional learning, what does that tell you? Is there anybody who could tell me what you uh, infer? You may infer from such a word.
I think it's how you can perceive information from the voice of a person in terms of emotions. What is she or he expressing with her or his voice in terms of emotions?
So yeah, communication doesn't necessarily will occur like face to face. Sometimes there are people that we will only know through their voices. So the voice is very important. If you are in the call center industry or if you're at the phone in a hotel, you will have the challenge of communicating with people you will never see. And you may have a friendship with someone. You may develop friendship with a person over the phone just by listening to their voices. You don't necessarily have to see or visit or have the person visit you for you to have a friend. So this is something that we have to overcome and feel that relations are different in this world. So yes, we need to be able to put our emotions in our language. So and here, as I brought it from where I got this because this is common knowledge out there. Unfortunately, we don't talk much about this, but this is common knowledge everywhere. Social emotional learning helps us develop necessary skills for relationship, for human relations, to manage emotions and to communicate. Effective communication is at the core of social emotional learning, okay? Allowing us to express ourselves, understand others, and build meaningful connections. And all of this is conducive to what? Culture. Culture. What is culture? Culture equals discourse practices. Discourse practices, right? Okay. So that was what is behind paralinguistic elements of communication. This is what is at the bottom, right? So social emotional learning, social emotional communication. um, then what we can do, humanly, that we are wired to do in order to convey communication that is meaningful and that is socially and emotionally charged or connected is to use our tone of voice, right? And let us all, this may seem very basic, but it's a good thing for us to revisit some of these older materials. Tone of voice refers to the way we use our voice to convey meaning and emotions. It encompasses several components. So here's where things you know get interesting, because we have pitch, volume, rate of speech, intonation, and emphasis. So we have different systems working at the same time. Uh, we're going back to what we knew about pitch. That's volume, but it's very focused volume. Okay, focused. Then focus probably on a syllable, maybe on a fragment, maybe on a word. Okay, that's the pitch. That comes from word level um, or segmental level phonology into super segmental, right? The volume is more of super segmental analysis, because it is more connected to uh, focusing on specific elements of a phonological sentence that deserve to be highlighted or be on the peak, right? Not on the valley. They have to go to be a part of a peak, because that's meaningful information for the sake of messaging. The rate of speech, of course, is if we speak slow, if we slow down for emphasis, or to mean some other, we have some other intention in what we're meaning, or speaking fast as we normally do, right? So is it important to pay attention to rate of speech? Of course, because people who speak too slow, it's going to be, people will feel lazy listening to them. It's like, you're wasting my time. Um, but if you speak too fast, then people won't understand you, and then you're gonna be out of control, or they won't feel like they don't get the point. See, so we have to find a balance between going slow at sometimes, going faster at others. The intonation is linked to meaning as well, because as you know, those are the words that will carry most of the meaning load in the sentence. And the emphasis, of course, also is connected to now an upper level layer of communication, in which we're telling this person, this is the chunk that I want you to pay attention to. Okay, so I'm going to make a special emphasis here. In writing, that translates to writing in um, capital letters. When we chat in capital letters, we're making that emphasis, right? But we're doing that, of course, through other code. So these elements contribute to the overall tone, right? All that is called tone, it's as a generic term, right? The pitch, as I was telling you, is the highness or lowness, okay? And it has to do with emotion also. What what motivates your communication, eh? Then a lower pitch is, more authority or serious speaking, right? So it's a way for us to provide nuance, right, to communication, more serious, more jovial, so forth. Volume, in general, speaking loudly, overall, for a person to know that what we mean is important, that we want attention, we want their full attention. If it goes lower or soft, then this is just a regular conversation without much probably importance, right? As you see here, uh, that translates into culture and through, in terms of confidence or assertiveness. When you want to be very direct, you're going to you're going to increase your volume. You're going to speak louder, right? So that's how it translates to culture. That's this course practices culture, discourse practices. Rate of speech. This refers to how quickly or slowly we speak, as I was telling you before. Too quickly, it's going to make it difficult for people to follow, and they're going to be asking like, could you repeat that, or what did you mean, or could you say that again, please, or come again, please, and so forth. Um, and that is okay, but it's not ideal, right? So we should be regulating the way we speak, right? We don't want to disengage people, right? We're too slow, right? And we want to keep a pace, right? We need to keep pace. Generally, what we human beings do is that we follow middle ground. And the people who talk to us, they also adjust their speed to the speed they're listening to. If a person is a fast speaker, they're going to be speaking fast. If the person's a slow speaker, they're going to be speaking slow. So here's the importance of proper modeling in the classroom. A good teacher is a good language model. So, rate of speech, finding the right pace, right, for comprehension and engagement. Intonation, as we were saying, there's this music element in communication, especially in English. So, intonation should be mastered. This is how we're going to keep people listening to us, right? And the emphasis, that's conveying emotion through chunks, sections, right? Elements. That could be a phrase, could be a word, could be probably some larger chunk, maybe a verb, maybe something that we want to communicate in a way that's going to help us get better at what we're doing, which is expressing our emotions and feelings and ideas. So, in sum, the role of tone of voice in communication is very important. It impacts how messages are perceived. Okay. So, uh, now once more, I should insist very much that some people look at this like, okay, this is something that I may need for communication. No, big error. And let me tell you why. Well, probably you know, but I'm going to let you know anyway, because here we are right, for this. Everything falls apart when the person tells you, what, or say again. When you get that three times, that's like baseball, three strike rule. So you get three strikes, you're out. See? Why is that? Because you are not the one who determines if you speak English. Okay? It's your listener. He's the judge who will determine if what you say has meaning or not. So before I proceed, I'd like to know if you've had anybody go through this experience of the three strikes baseball rule in speaking. Some of your experience-based input would be very useful here because look, there lots of people say that I speak English, but have you gone into a situation which people tell you, oh, what did you just say? Could you say that again? What do you mean?
Yes, it happens. And when it happens, what I try to do is go to the board and write what I said. And they say, oh, that's what you were saying. I didn't know this word. This is a new word. So it does happen.
Thank you very much, Veronica. This is a very good classroom interaction example, but could you imagine what it does to a student or a learner if a native speaker tells them in an interaction, someone who doesn't speak any Spanish, that like three strikes, like, um, pardon, what did you say? Could you say that again? What? You see, this is psychological. This could be psychological for student or anybody who is learning a language. They hope to be understood. And the fact that they understand their teacher doesn't guarantee that they're going to understand people outside the classroom. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
I was going to say that definitely these are things that do affect communication with native speakers. Now, one of the things that at least I attempt to do at some point is something that you mentioned, strategies to deal with these type of situations. It's going to be uncomfortable at times. They need to know that. They need to realize that that's part of the learning process. But they, at least if they have something to fall back on and, you know, sort of recover some of that confidence that they may, that may be threatened by these particular situations. I think they need to be aware that that's going to happen at some point and that there are ways to go about it. This is not to say that they are definitely going to just use strategies to cope with this. It's just a matter of letting them know that this happens and they need to, you know, pay attention to these elements so that they can be improved at some point to improve communication with, especially with native speakers.
And I should add to that that in order to make this a little bit more complex or more real, remember that they won't only speak to native speakers of American English. Chances are that they're going to be on the phone talking to Nigerian speakers of English or Hong Kong speakers of English, or maybe Australians on the phone, or maybe face to face, because we don't know. Maybe they're going to be working at a hotel, at a business center, somewhere, maybe call center, maybe a contact center, and they'll have to pick up a phone. Uh, I've seen people shaking because they have to pick up a phone. You see, I've seen that. It's troublesome, and that definitely affects very much their self-esteem. Um, Not feeling that they have enough English production that is meaningful and clear enough, because essentially what we mean by clear speech is meaningful speech that is governed by phonological rules that belong to meaning, that integrate language and culture. The language, which is the what, and the element of the discursive practice. I think somebody wanted to say something else. Okay, so
Just a minute. I think Professor Modesto de Leon wants to say something. His hand is up.
by all means, go ahead, Professor.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Loud
we
and
can.
clear, sir.
All right. A good example that I gave my students is, have you noticed how intimidating wrestlers, WWF and those guys, how they sound intimidating when they speak? It's part of their profession, let's say, but if they have a very weak voice, that will not impress opponents. See? So it is. I had a student in high school who physically, the girl said he looked like Stallone. And then he started speaking with, You're not going to get anywhere with that. No, and his English was good, but he had taken the wrong model. And that is what I tell them, watch. TV series, in which comedies, Friends, and this and the other, people react very quickly with their voices to imply communication that goes on and on and on. See? But it is one of the problems we have now with reggae singers or reggaeton or whatever you want to call them, singers or not. No, they cannot produce or articulate clear language because, in spite of that, I don't know where they got that intimidation to impress young people. My generation, the voices were clear, the music was fine, and you could model students after them. Some of us were modeled listening to Sinatra or some of the others who are already in heaven, I hope. See? But there is always good models to follow. See? To follow. The people who read the news, for example, on CBS, NBC, those are experts in that. No? So the speed, the tone, the voice, whenever they are reading the news, they don't want to be intimidated. They just want to be informative. And that is the tone they use. Okay, that was my participation.
So, in other words, we know that we have limitations. We are second language speakers in most of the cases, okay, and our students are also second language speakers. There are limitations, but especially because we have limitations, we need to learn our way through those limitations, and one of those is intonation. Intonation. Yes, somebody wanted to say something. Yes, go ahead, please. Okay, so I'm moving on, and yes, a little bit more of the same, understanding and clarity. Okay, so a proper tone of voice is essential for conveying meaning and conveying, ensuring the clarity. Okay, that we need in order to communicate what we say. So this is important. Using a calm and reassuring tone when giving instructions can help alleviate anxiety and improve comprehension. Okay. Harsh or impatient tones create confusion and hinder understanding. So our students need to know that they need to stop and then perform, but they need to prepare to perform. And that will only come from practice. So lots of practice are necessary for them to get better. In general, they have 4 years to improve in across areas. That is grammar and writing and learning about the literature of the language, the essentials and all that. But what is sad is that many of them get to 4th year, many of them don't speak English fluently enough. And that is not because something is wrong with them or something's wrong with the curriculum or the teachers. It's that they didn't have enough chances to make mistakes and practice. So practice makes perfect in these cases. So it's, we cannot insist on this enough. Very good. Now, I'm going to bring these examples. I hope you can see the examples there in quotations. So if I say, in order to convey meaning and emphasis, if I say, I didn't say he stole the money, that I emphasis, what I mean by that is that I think somebody else was responsible or of saying something else, right? Like, I didn't say he stole the money. Okay. In the second case or second example in quotations that you see there, if I emphasize like, I didn't say he stole the money, so is that I'm denying that, or somebody else meant something else occurred, that probably the money wasn't stolen. I don't know if you can see the difference, by providing emphasis to some elements, we imply things, okay? We imply things. A lot of the communication that is culturally oriented or culturally nuanced um, contain these elements that are visible for some people, for others aren't, until they get the opportunity to be exposed to that. So it's important to have them practice in pairs. Like, okay, now emphasize on the verb, now emphasize on the subject, now emphasize on this element. What does it sound like to you? Or what do you think you mean by that? Um, this kind of practice, paired practice, is very necessary and very important. As I was telling you before, students need to realize that they need others in order to be complete. They have to see their classmates as a resource. We have to turn or flip around a great disadvantage we face. We have extremely heterogeneous classes. Heterogeneous. People are very different in terms of their abilities. You see, their skill sets are very varied, very diverse. So we need to, have them practice with students who know more, those who know less. They will benefit very much more than the class itself. That's what they will get, like, the gold from practices with someone who knows more than them. And it's a good way for us to earn, for them to get the chance to earn a decent grade that is worth the effort, so they get the opportunity to benefit from sharing with a classmate. Okay. So moving on. So you see an example here. See, in quotations, we have "oh really," "oh really," with the rising intonation. That's, as you see here, surprise or disbelief. Whereas in the falling intonation, as in closing the phonological sentence, "I guess so, I guess so," I am probably being dismissive here. Maybe there is resignation or some reluctance. So you see emotion reflected through paralinguistic elements of communication. Okay. Is there anybody trying to say something? Because I kind of overhear some comments. Okay, I'm moving on. So regarding intonation, you see, we can vary that a lot, and we could alter everything just by intonating. Like, so you're coming to the party, you're coming to the party. So you see the intonation falls on party, party, and noun, and then the rising intonation. So that's a question, right? I don't have to say much. I know the person should know, but I could tell them the other way, like, you're coming to the party, you're coming to the party. So it's more like maybe a command, probably more than a statement. So it's a way to clarify meaning. So it's not only what you say, but how you say it. Okay, it's the discursive practice, the cultural element. So concerning uncertainty and confidence, okay, you see here two examples also in quotations. I'm not going to read all that to you because they'll probably be too lengthy, and I need to provide some context to the examples, of course. So for falling tone, you have, I know the answer. I know the answer. I'm telling you, I know it without a doubt. Okay. Yeah. And then rising, I think that's the answer. I think that's the answer. So, okay, there's a lot of uncertainty. It's just the opposite, just the opposite. Okay. So, it's important to have our students practice with questions and statements. They need lots of controlled practice. There is a difference, right? When we practice of these kinds of materials, there is a model, there is controlled practice, and there is also free practice. But this is a progression, right? This is a progression. if we want to be pedagogical in our approach to the teaching of some elements of pronunciation, we need to first provide a model, then we need to move on to provide a controlled practice, then we have to give the opportunity to use the language the way they want to use it, or they may feel it's possible for them to use it, so that they get the chance to experience or make mistakes, be corrected, and then get the learning experience that way. But you have to be corrected and make the mistakes first. So hence, there's this progression of elements. So we have a rising tone for a question. You're leaving now, or you're leaving now. I'm telling you, like you're leaving, or just make an observation about person going out, right out the door. So we're gonna have some exercises next, I think, in the coming slide, and I'm gonna need your practice. I mean your help practicing this already old material. But before we get to that, it's important to let our students know that they need to record themselves. What I sometimes do is I have them send them recordings of practices that they do. I don't have to get the paper. I just get the audio, and we have different services that could store lots of space, not necessarily in our emails, because we know that can be troublesome. But you know we should find a space somewhere where students can send us recordings, and to get the opportunity to let them know what is right, what is wrong about it, and so they listen to themselves, because they don't get the chance to listen to themselves very much. They just want you to listen to them, but they don't listen to themselves. So those examples are very good research material and lesson material also, the playbacks, right? Okay, very good. So I'm going to read the sentences, and you're going to tell me if it's statement or question, right? And okay, obviously they're all statement or questions. They are already, because that's the language part. What I need you to tell me is I have rising or falling intonation, all right? So I'm going to read, and then you're going to tell me. This is simple. So this is more like modeling, as I was telling you before. First, we need to model. Then we move on to controlled practice, then into freer practice or free practice, right? So are you coming with us? What was that?
Rising.
Thank you. She's already left.
Falling.
Thanks. Can I help you?
Rising.
Thanks. I live in New York. Fallen. Is he your brother?
Rising.
Rising.
Rising. That's my favorite movie.
Falling.
Fallen. Thank you. So you see, now a little bit of an example of a controlled practice is, to let them know, well, this is still modeling really, because more of a controlled practice wouldn't necessarily have both parties involved in an exchange for some purpose. There must be some content, right? But we don't have anything like this. So if I say, you're going, what do I mean? You're going? I'm confirming. I want to know if the person is coming along. If I say, really? What's that? Really?
They're not
Really?
surprised.
Really? Really? That's more boredom. or maybe indifference. But if I say, oh, okay, okay,
That's final decision.
okay, it's more rising than anything. I'm waiting for a response. But you see, this is tricky because if you get that from an audio in a book, probably in the book they're going to tell you prepare for this, and they're going to be providing an example before and then the actual item. But life, as we're doing here, it's harder because you're unprepared for this. And then that's how people get tricked by books, because we feel that, okay, the book is effective in teaching this and it's going to assessment, but the reality is that they need to listen to real life models. So she said what? She said what? She said what?
That is a rising, denoting confusion.
Very good. So you see, as we provide more and more examples, we get better at all of this. But students, they need to listen to you as the teacher, and they need to listen to their classmates. Okay, and then they're going to start self-regulating.
Yeah, but you have to make sure that you are giving the correct example, because in the previous one where you said the first time you said, oh, okay, that sounded like a final decision. Then you changed it to waiting for a response.
Yeah, but bear in mind that
We have to be careful. I mean, to tell the students the exact
sure.
intonation. I mean, to make the exact intonation that we want them to give us answers for. You see.
Yeah, we have to bear in mind that some of these words, some of these examples, for example, okay, that's a filler. It's used in many, many cases without meaning, really, because it's more like a back filler. It's like you are telling the person that you're there for them, and only when you emphasize it a lot and you get some context, then you will start really getting that. You can say, oh, okay, 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 okay. But you see, it's a filler, and this is a troublesome one. For instance, it's a lot more easier to detect really than really, 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 because that's not a filler all the time. Okay is more than anything. So yes, all of this is part of the experience of exposure. Exposure. So yes, we may be easily led by punctuation, but that doesn't necessarily always uh, you know, sounds as it's expected. So here we go. So wrapping up, so the paralinguistic feature that affects communication the most is intonation, okay, because it is related to intent and emotion. Okay, for example, is a word that doesn't necessarily mean much in terms of emotion. So maybe agreement, but it's not always positive. So we have over there on this image, we have emotions. We have the negative one and we have the positive ones, right? Like regret and hate and fear and anger, shame, guilt and sadness. And on the other end, we have love and joy, pride, empathy, hope, and happiness. Um, do you think our students are effective, meaning them? Probably they are. Probably they're in the process of becoming very effective about this. So intonation belongs to suprasegmental prosody, right? Major domain of pronunciation, okay? Connecting two other domains, word level and phrase level stress and phonology. Relevant for cultural awareness because emotions play a role in communication, right? Nuance communication a lot. So, okay, I have a question for you. how many of you have your students, for instance, express maybe that they're bored, maybe that they are sad, that they are satisfied? Do you have them do something like this? Do you do something like this in class?
There's an opportunity when they uh, work in groups to produce dialogues or scenes, like they are how can I explain, like using intonation and tone of voice and everything like that, by using dialogues and expressing themselves in situations. Because I think that everybody knows a little bit about this topic, even if they don't know the names, but they do know how to express their fear or their shame or their sadness or their happiness, or when they are enthusiastic with a topic. So it's not very different from their own culture. Like it's almost the same in our culture, you know, in Spanish and Latin America, that we express maybe maybe not exaggerated, but they know how to do it. It's just that we had to talk about this and give it a name.
This is very good. This is a golden nugget. So it's important for them to get acquainted with how they do it in Spanish, right? But the problem is that many of them don't even know how they do it in Spanish. That's the main problem. And they're blind to the way it goes in Spanish. And then they cannot rely on that experience very much. So it is, I think it's an eye-opening process that is going to come to them probably, through lots of practice and comparing both languages, both languages. And very good. I think one of the most limiting factors is being at the department just a few hours. There isn't that much that we can do really concerning these major areas, which are very challenging and extremely big. It's a very ambitious endeavor to have someone learn this in 16 hours or so, according to a curriculum. So we need to rely on outside or out of class work, practices, drills, and so forth. And at some point we have to individualize this, because some students need more one thing than the other, right? So we should have variety of materials. So that is why I defend very much we professors having the freedom to design our materials rather than relying on books, because books are rather limiting and they won't allow us to do a part of our role, right? Which is also diagnosing and providing a topic focused, or I don't know, maybe trouble focused type of solutions, right? Solutions, because that's our business. Okay. So, well, I'd like to have some impressions concerning the topic. Probably you have an opinion about it. Maybe someone has some opinion. I'd like to listen to some opinions concerning the topic that we are dealing with, which is paralinguistic resources of communication.
Well, I do have an experience, like when I was finishing my studies in the Bachelor of English. I received a visit from the United States. It was my niece. And I was trying to practice my English with her. It was many years ago. And she stopped me and she said, "Tia, you sound like a book." And I was like, what do you mean? And she says, like, you're talking like grammarly perfect, but not, you don't sound like a person. You sound like a book. So it's been a worry for me to learn in I mean, in linguistic studies, how do people relate and use all those paralinguistics and suprasegmental features in order to feel more comfortable when I talk in English, even if I'm not a native speaker, no?
Right. What do you think it means when someone tells you you sound like a book or you sound like a dictionary? Because I've listened to that before, yes.
It was too correct.
Too proper, right? It's
Yeah.
language only.
Only
What
my
about
grammar, my grammar sounded good, but she means like in the street you sound different. With your family you sound different. She says you don't talk like that. You don't talk the same in your college than with your family. Even if you're studying Spanish, you don't talk like that to your family, to your friends.
all right. So yes, and what you just said brings us back to this language and culture. So when we're very proper, we, display our mastery of language. But then what happens with culture? Culture is, as we said before, the course practices, how to express meaning, how to express emotion. That's the part that's probably weaker in communication. And of course, it needs to be developed further and probably adjusted to what would sound normal to someone who holds both language and the culture. So we should not forget that the language is just a vehicle, but the culture is the content, the emotions and the ideas, intention, purpose. So that's probably the weaker part of communication dyad, right? That we're learning or we're helping others learn. And as I'm telling you here, I'm not here to preach and tell you that I'm perfect. No one's perfect, but we know that we have limitations. We have to work our way around those limitations. This is our role, and I have learned also that we're braver than someone who's a native speaker teaching this. Why so? Because native speakers, they're already endowed with certain qualities, and that would make work simpler for them, but very difficult for a non-native speaker of English. Um, just to give you an example, ELS language centers in the United States, I can tell you about this because I did the research over there. They work in many university campuses. What they do is they throw instructors who are non-native speakers of English to students paying a lot of money because there's people pay a handsome figure for this courses sponsored by ELS across the United States in different campuses. Those students, they get Pakistanis, maybe Latinos, Turkish, Chinese instructors. They get those from levels 1 through 5. Then level 6 through 10, then they get a variety of native speakers. They get for level 6 an American, then for 7 maybe a British person, then for 8 and 9 maybe someone from India, maybe a 10 could be someone from I don't know, maybe African. So according to what they claim, they do so in order to expose students to a true international English, right? So they're aware that English is an international language. So that's the way they promote their courses over there, because they know that most of these campuses are populated by diverse groups, ethnic and national groups, and the faculty is international as well. You will run into all kinds of Europeans teaching in the United States. But if you go to Europe, you will not find any of those Americans over there, but you will discover that the Europeans are hired in American universities and colleges, and they're teaching. And you get people from Spain and Portugal and Germany, etc., that they're teaching in the United States. So it's a matter of exposure to culture, to culture. And I must emphasize on this very much because this is a product and this costs a lot of money. Okay, it's important that you that we understand this. That what we're talking about here is valuable and coveted by many, many, many people. Just like Jimenez saying, I'm trying to bring back Jimenez because I liked what he said at the beginning of this session. Um, we get thousands of people hoping to become very good at English, and it's for a single reason. It's an important language, right? Important for whatever purpose you have in mind, right? But we have in mind that they have in mind, and it's a way for them to secure a future and added value, even migration to a different context. Um, eh, so the day the university decides to either bring IELTS or TOEFL test preparation to the university, that's the day you will get probably more money than ever, I think, because I think that's the only other thing that the university does not offer for a 90,000 student enrollment, right? Official enrollment, according to University of Panama demographics. So this is, of course, very interesting and very valuable and very useful. And we're talking about lots of money over here, believe it or not. Believe it or not, it's a lot of money. Okay, let's see what else is on the way. Okay, I'm almost done for today, day 2. I'm going to be referring very quickly here to some things that I left out concerning cultural differences. Okay, so touch-friendly contact cultures include Latin America, Mediterranean countries, and the Middle East in general. So that's the kind of population that could probably flow to our university in the long run. By this, I mean either virtually, which is online, or face to face in the university campus. This is a process, this is a project that I think the university is starting to look at very seriously. So this involves quite a few, countries that the University of Panama could create ties with and have these populations come over or have some contact because of some possible relationships, possible similarities in terms of culture. So this is I think, at some point, it's a predictor of the possible directions the university may explore in order for internationalization efforts to occur. So what we're talking about here is probably the future of the coming administration, maybe the coming ones. This is what they will probably attempt to do. I've seen some CONEAUPA documents, and private universities, they're all building ties. They're trying to forge alliances that try to bring individuals from cultures that may hold a similarity to ours. Um, that doesn't have to be for 4 years. They could come over for a mobility short-term exchange. But these exchanges will keep on occurring, and there is no way we can waive this, because the university benefits will benefit and will eventually benefit a lot more from all of these efforts. These efforts are not occurring just for the sake of fulfilling a requirement. Little by little, this is becoming more of a strategy, more of part of the scheme for turning the university a larger institution. Beyond present day accreditation, there is what we call, for instance, in Brazil, and Colombia, and Chile, just name some examples. I'm familiar with also in Mexico, that they call high quality accreditation, acreditación de alta calidad. It's high quality accreditation. You don't have to take what I'm telling you. You go ahead and you Google it yourselves, and you'll discover that this is a trend, and there are some directions universities are moving towards. As I was telling you, higher education institutions, you may ask Olmedo Garcia, our dean, we're facing serious economic constraints and the possibility of being choked by mindless governments, such as the one elected today at present in Panama. I'm taking advantage of this opportunity to voice my mind. They have no clue about the importance of higher education. And universities, in order to secure their existence, they need to build and forge these alliances and create these ties. It's a way of escaping from their grip, because they want to come in and make decisions about higher education, where the most qualified people in a country work and study. And this is something that I'm sure coming administrations are going to be working on. So cultural awareness is connected to the university becoming international. Now, low contact cultures, of course, they may not be our target, but they've been around, because I had the opportunity of helping Secretaría General have some visitors from an accreditation office from Norway through the European Union, and some mobility through the European Union. Very interesting experience. Even though these people are low contact, they still want to work in Panama, because that's what the Norwegians told me. They told me that in English, because I don't speak Norwegian. We all speak English. They told me they would be more than willing to come and teach in Panama. So I was surprised, I have to tell you, that they might aspire to come over, but they're willing to do so. And I also asked about other nationalities, and of course, they're willing to come and teach. All right, come and teach in Panama. So this topic is related to the future of what I think we will see, right? So tolerance. Tolerance is important. Haptic behaviors that are not adjusted would very easily come across as rude, sexually suggestive, dominating, or threatening. When one of our colleagues had an intervention before, he said that students felt at some point, especially those non-Panamanians sitting in a Panamanian classroom at the university, they felt that there was some rejection. I think that rejection is probably based on their perception, right? Perception of uneducated behavior that could be misinterpreted as maybe dominating, threatening, maybe aggressive, maybe sexually suggestive, could be also rude or pushy. And the reality is that little by little, we need to start going more in the direction of being more welcoming at the university for the university's existence, for the sake of the university benefit. We have to do that. And I should also add that, for instance, in graduate programs, there must be a progression toward bilingualism because the benefits the university can reap from establishing these partnerships. This is starting. I don't think this is a one-time experience. I think this is growing, and the university existence, to some extent, looks at this, as an important element. What is probably affecting the universities that not that many or not enough people speak English right now, but this is changing. We have more and more professionals who speak English, and this is improving. This is improving because I think many of them, they don't want to say it, but they know what I'm talking about over here. They're aware of this. I wanted to go before to the National Congress with this topic of mine I was telling you about, but I didn't dare because I think people would probably reject it. But I have realized they're prepared for that. This is the time. Some people may think, oh, now we have issues with Mr. Trump and so forth. We reject everything American. Not quite. The university needs alliances and connections with the English-speaking world and Europe in order to get rid of many of the potential shackles that the government is going to place on them, on us. So this is just, a reflection connected to the topic. Now, well, I think we should allow some time for questions and answers. It will be very useful for us to have some final round of questions and answers. My first question for you guys is, did you find the day one takeaway questions useful? Did those make sense to you? Or were you able to solve those questions?
Are you referring to the assignment itself in Google Classroom? Is that what
That
you're
is
referring to?
that is
Okay, well,
correct.
okay. Definitely they addressed what you had discussed in class, and excuse me, in this in your presentation. And what it was interesting, and I think it was important for the participants is to review the terms that you used. So we were able to really get a grasp of what they meant, okay, and at the same time reflect as to how those connect into a classroom situation. Well, not classroom situation, but essentially what's being done at the English department, and that got me thinking about, how am I going to what can I do, because every bit of help does make a difference.
All right. Anybody else? Thank you, Professor Bishop. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think it made me think about how we should make an emphasis in the relation between language and it's more than culture. It's like general culture. It's like knowing how or the ways we behave will affect our communication beyond the language issue. No, it's not only about knowing a new language. It's not about a foreign language like English. It's language is a concept that has been growing And it doesn't involve anymore the grammar and the pronunciation. It involves the culture, it involves the way of the world. And staying at home and believing that learning a language is only the hours you spent in college, it's wrong. Is that you have to get in order to learn a language, you have to get involved with all about it, with the people, with the geography, with the ways they do things. And also, I think that I would add to this, be also proud of your own culture. It means that learning about another culture makes me think about my culture and how I should recognize the features that it has in terms of language, in terms of behavior, in terms of food and everything. It's not only about respecting other cultures, and it's also about respecting our own culture. And the last thing that you say about internationalization of the university is not only about learning how to deal with other people, but also about showing other people how we behave. And if we are touching people, they also have to learn that. It's not only about us saying that, oh, I won't touch people because their culture. It's also about saying or about expressing that we are people who like to be in contact. It's just what I was thinking yesterday and today with regarding the contents of the seminar.
Very good. Sure. Now that you brought this up, we're going to be talking about acculturation, which is also a way of thinking about these processes that you may adjust to a new context by being acclimatized, culturally. That's acculturation. But yes, I think it's disrespectful nowadays to speak about acculturation because we need to respect all cultures. So the paradigm today is the one of equality among languages, but without losing, focus on the fact that English has been established as international language that we need to take advantage of. Many universities aspire to have a department such as ours, I must say. They don't have it. But little by little, I think the university is going to be looking for the work that we could probably help them with in order for the university to project a different image internationally. So I consider we could help very much by implementing some strategies and efforts for the university to gain some projection, international projection. Nothing negative, but everything positive, right? Everything positive. So, okay. Is there any other opinion or comment concerning these materials? So, look, many people say that we cannot teach culture. You have to live a culture in order to teach about it. Personally, I disagree with that statement, that idea, because everybody needs some background, and the more you know, the better it will be for you. The better you will understand people, and that will prevent all these rejection and confrontation that we want to prevent from occurring. So I'd like to ask you, do you think these topics, is it possible to teach culture and about the culture, not American culture, but as I was telling you before, British, Australian, North American, okay? As as a domain, you know? So what do you think? Is it possible to teach culture or to teach about culture? Does it make sense to you?
Well, I think that yes, we have to teach culture, but I would agree with Professor Lucy. I mean, it is not just teaching about their culture, but teaching them about our culture because they have to learn to live with Panamanians if they are going to be here, and they have to learn to survive over here too. So I think that we have to teach about both cultures for Panamanians to learn how to handle people from other countries, and for the people that come from other countries to learn how to survive in this environment.
Mhm. Okay, so what about short-term mobility? Do you think someone who comes here for a semester would learn about our culture, or should we learn more about their culture? So there is this asymmetry that I have to bring in. This is another issue. Okay, we live in a large, context, it's Latin America, with a pool of, I think, around 400 million Spanish speakers. But we have other areas of the world with speakers of other languages who are also by the millions. The problem with communication in many cases has been that we don't want to learn that much about theirs, and we end up feeling like, okay, I need to learn about yours, but I want you to learn about mine as well. But remember, the degree students receive from us is BA in the humanities with a concentration in English. So wherever they go, they're going to be regarded as experts, the language experts. And so at the least, they're considered bilingual. They could also be considered bicultural. And where does it say that they don't know anything about culture, right? So we have to consider this topic very seriously, because we have been embarked in a project that for some people has like been a letdown, because they have this extremely high expectations about what a person coming from the University of Panama should know. Someone with a degree in English should be knowledgeable of the language and the culture as well. So it's important to uh, understand that we have to teach this also. And of course, help a visitor get by, and of course, share our culture with them. But they're here also to help us out, improve our knowledge. That's the way I see it. So it's a give and take relationship. So um, this openness is very important. Openness, because one of the reasons people end up rejecting culture is because they feel you're trying to change my culture, and you are trying to repress me and change my way. Remember, this is not the game. The game is learning a different way of doing things. It's not only what we do, is how we do it with some other people, okay, for the sake of our benefit and establishing positive relationships. I have a question for you. This is my last question. Listen, do you think Panama has done a good job in establishing like positive relationships with the world? Do you think Panama is a culturally tolerant and culturally aware context for other countries of the world? In general terms, do you think this country is um, living up to its motto, which is um, for the benefit of the world? Because that's what you get in our shield of arms. You get that piece of information, right? That's a motto, Panamanian motto, pro mundi beneficio, right? For the benefit of the world. So do you think this country has really lived up to this? And do you think this is a good thing for our country? I'd like to have some of your impressions, because your openness and your awareness will benefit or affect students in the long run. To put it in plain and simple terms, I'd like to listen to some of your opinions and spark or ignite a little bit of a discussion, not argument, discussion on this topic. I'm talking here about the country mission as a country.
I have the impression that we are more open to Occidental cultures than to, for example, Asians or African cultures. Afro-Caribbean, yes, because we are very related, but we're not very good at dealing with people different from Occidental cultures. That's
So
my
you mean by that you mean like Western, like Latin
Western.
American and North America
Yeah,
and the
maybe like
Caribbean?
that. Yeah, I think that in Panama they accept more people from Europe and from the north of the continent than and the island, yes, and people from uh, other continents that we don't. I quote, we don't understand them very much. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about in general that if you bring someone from Europe, they will welcome that person very much. But if you bring someone from, I don't know, from Pakistan or from, from, I don't know, China, they will treat them as like, like not so important. I think Panamanians make a difference in that. And it's because of ignorance. It's just because of ignorance. They think that Europeans are superior. That's what I feel. I don't know. Being the daughter of a Chinese man, I feel that, and the daughter of a African American lady, I feel that they still face some discrimination, and it's because of ignorance.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So this is an interesting topic to discuss because ultimately culture is about humans and human relations. And we live in a country that has a very ambitious mission. It seems that the country has been modeled or created for the benefit of the world or for the world's benefit. But I don't know if we have fulfilled that mission. Many people claim that in our country, everybody relates and, foreign groups live together in peace. But I'm not so sure that this is true because of the situations that we see. Everywhere we go, there's going to be racism, and there's going to be classism, or segregation based on class, on the economic status, because of power, because power is an underlying topic. But the reality is that the country could be more open, more service oriented, and more tourism servicing for the benefit of people's income. And we're facing serious limitations concerning this, right? So it's the university's mission to impact these areas. So here we are discussing important topics that I think ultimately don't even consider or concern the government. It's about the people. the Panamanian nationals who need to grow and learn more, right? A different way of doing things, little by little. So yeah, culture is a way for us to learn that, right? Learning more. Okay. Um.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
as a comment, yeah,
Sure.
as Professor Lucy says, it's just ignorance, but also depends on how you were brought up. For example, I am Afro-descendant, and I've never had any problem uh, being with Black people and sharing with them. And also, my mom used to visit the Chinese town when I was little, and she would take me all the time over there. So for me, it is the most natural thing. So it really depends uh, on how you were brought up. And also, we see that in Panama, there are many communities. We have the Chinese community, the Hindu community, the Italian community, the Argentinian community, the Venezuelan community, the Colombian community. And I haven't seen any problem among those cultures, and not even, I mean, the Chinese. And I haven't seen any problems about that. I think that we have always accepted Chinese people. The fact is that there are many Chinese people in government. Well, it has to do with upbringing and knowledge also. So that's my comment.
Okay.
I think I want to add a little bit to that. Yeah, upbringing is important, but I think what matters at this point is that um, it is a problem and that we are talking about it. And the mere fact of acknowledging that there is a problem and that we're trying to target that is, to me, it represents a plus. So addressing the issue, not ignoring it or pushing it to one side, is definitely a gain.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, it has to do with bringing, but there are people, as I said, there are people that have problems with that, but we have to be careful in how we address the issue, because if we, let's say, if we sound too aggressive, people might have the tendency to reject, because it's like imposing, you see, and we have to be careful in how we do it.
Well, thank you very much for that. Those contributions. Yes. We need more education as a country. We need to be more open, more culturally aware. I think the country loses a lot when we have these clusters or close communities. We need to be open. We need not Colombo Panamanian, but Panamanian Colombian instead. Not Venezuelan Panamanian, but Panamanian Venezuelan instead. So yeah, we are facing some resistance, and that is normal. It's natural. That's part of the tension, the cultural tension. But the country needs to grow more in this direction. Now we're facing some very serious issues with discrimination against some indigenous populations. Um, all that is part of this culture spiral that we are discussing over here. That all the prejudice, all those stereotypes, we need to rid ourselves of it and of them, because there are many of those. And well, all we can do is, in the meantime, continue, making the way towards a better situation, better understanding. Now, here's key takeaway about proxemics, haptics, and for the same matter, paralinguistic uses of language and all this eye contact topics that we've been discussing. Um, nonverbal, that's non-spoken. Communication can be improved by maintaining eye contact in general terms, nodding our heads to convey agreement, smiling and showing interest, leaning forward to show interest on what the person, whoever it is telling us, tone of voice that matches our messages. That's important, making those adjustments. So these are like some general guidelines on how to. Now, people in tourism should learn this because this should be their everyday bread and butter to know how to behave along these terms for them to show people that they're valuable, that we appreciate them, uh, to maintain a positive mindset and relationship at all times. It's very sad when things do not work because something so simple as nodding your head is ignored or not applied because a person is not empathic. So these are essentially empathy, and this empathy builds relationships, and this is also culture because culture adds up people. You don't uh, take people out, you bring people in. That's the idea. The idea is to integrate, right, more people and make a community grow uh, with points in common. Essentially, that's the takeaway for this topic. Now, tomorrow I have to talk to you about now cultural variations. By cultural variations, I mean we're going to talk about high context versus low context cultures. This is an important topic that determines how we relate to people coming from other contexts. Some of them they have very particular characteristics. Others are kind of mixed in between. Others are at the extremes. So we have pure European, pure Asian, and many different groups in between. So this is an important topic. Now I have a question. Tomorrow I have a video, right, that I would like us to watch. Is there a problem projecting a video through Zoom?
No,
This is something I'd like to ask our organizers.
there shouldn't be a problem as long as you, I guess you may put it in as part of your presentation or as a link in
It
the chat box. It shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, this is an active link that I would like to project here live during session. I'm gonna put that also as part of the materials that we're gonna be looking, out of session. But would it be okay if I project this tomorrow during session? Have you had anybody project video here?
Actually, we usually
Yeah,
have people projecting videos.
exactly. There
Oh,
shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, very good. So I'm gonna do so. This is not gonna take too long, but I need this to highlight some very concrete features of context uh, cultures like low and high context. And we need to stress on the topic of video, interesting video on directness and indirectness in communication. Some people are very direct, some others are not, and they have good reasons for that. That has to do with the context that they come from. So I have this video for tomorrow, and I'm going to be referring to communication styles. This may look like, I don't know, maybe psychology, but believe it or not, many of these topics are borrowed from anthropology and from communication studies. And we have direct and indirect communication, ways of saying things. So you don't want to tell people things that may affect their self-esteem. Believe it or not, this is very, very important. So I'm going to be talking also about politeness. Politeness is one of the most important elements of speech acts, or speech act theory that we'll be discussing tomorrow. So there's going to be elements of that, low and high context, politeness, communication styles and this sort of thing. And we're going to see a categorization of communication styles based on national origin. Okay, so this is going to be our topic for tomorrow. By the end, I'm going to be placing over here a takeaway document. That's just a page, Microsoft Word page. I'm going to put it over there as assigned work for you to submit that to my mail. I've been receiving your work. Thank you very much for being so prompt and nice to send me your input on what I've done. I've tried to make this as simple as I can. However, I know the topics are not familiar. I'm trying to keep this simple and not easy, but simple as a way for us to promote this content, which I hope it's not rejected, right? I don't know if the organizers have some announcements to make, and I think I'm done for the day.
Okay. Professor Marisol, do you have any announcements so I can bring this session to closure?
Well, no, just remember to register in classroom.
Mhm.
We are going to start at 8 tomorrow.
Mhm.
Try to be early, please. Today we
Okay.
have to wait for some minutes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Professor Cardenas, for today's presentation, which clearly emphasizes how language and culture are deeply interacted. We have been reminded that communication goes beyond words. Paralinguistic and I can't even speak. Suprasegmental, there you go, elements like intonation, stress, rhythm, play a crucial role in conveying meaning, emotion, and cultural nuances. With that being said, we'll wrap up for today's session. We will see you tomorrow at the same time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
See
Bye bye. Have a good one.
you.
Okay, have a nice evening, people.
Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Okay,
See
bye.
you.
I'm
I've
trying
not,
to get out of
I've,
there.